Hello friends, this is Somaranjan Nayak and I welcome you all to my channel, The Mango Researcher. Today we'll be looking into some of the myths that you get to find on online platforms regarding PhD. We'll be debunking most of them. Before going deep into the myths, we need to understand a very important question, and that is why PhD after all? What's the need of it? I'll give you an explanation using a simple analogy. Suppose that this is you. You are standing on top of your house. Okay, and I ask you a simple question: how far can you see? You may say, sir, 3 or 4 kilometers at max, and the reason being the urban clutter that is all around us, which blocks our sight. But in case I tell you to climb on the top of this mountain and ask you the same very thing, how far can you see? The answer would be almost endless. Dear friends, what is the reason? The reason is this clutter reduces when you start climbing up. And the sight that you get over here is simply breathtaking. And once you reach to the top, your very intention would be to sit at least for some time and watch and enjoy the view that you get all around this mountain. And this is what PhD is all about. You have to reach to the very top if you want to get the best of the sights. If you want to reduce this clutter in your life, then you have to reach to the very top. Question arises, at what cost? You see, suppose this is Mount Everest and you are at the base camp. You all must understand that there are a whole lot of preparations which are required. Physical preparation, mental preparation. You need to have all the gears that is required to climb the mountain. A right team to help you out. And only then somehow you can reach after lots of difficulty to this position. But once you reach, you enjoy that position for lifetime. This is why PhD is said to be sort of nashe ki tarah hoti hai, sort of an addiction. Once it catches you up, it's difficult to leave. Then some of you may definitely question me. We have seen so many PhD students in our life. We have never come across such students with so much of passion that you are talking of. Yeah, I agree to you. You may find some who may not have passion. But how will this passion come? It comes from two very particular reasons. And those two reasons because of which someone enjoys their work. Let's go into it. PhD gives you a freedom to choose, starting from guide to topic to method. Almost always you have a choice what you want to follow. Second is the ability to design. Friends, when you design a material, when you design a process, when you design a machine, it's most enjoyable. Why? Because you can directly apply what you have learned. There are n number of other desk jobs that you or most of your friends may be doing. They may be having cars, bank balances, everything, and you may be someone like me who is going to class in shorts and in cycle. But ask them that does their job provide these freedoms that I have spoken of? Freedom to choose and ability to design. I'd like to confess that I'm not belittling any other job. But yes, PhD does provide you such sort of rewards. And on a lighter note, I would say that when one comes across memes like this, types of pain in which PhD is completely read, and one of the birth control effective method is PhD, it does cause some alarm, but I would say that picture is not that bad. Okay, negativity always flies much higher speed than that of positive news. But I would definitely say that picture is not that bad. Now coming to the most important part of the video, that is debunking the popular myths. The first myth that you will always hear is that you need to be a genius in order to pursue or get PhD, which is completely wrong. What I sincerely believe that any average person who has got some exposure beforehand of what research is all about, like a MS degree or a MTech degree, or you can say an internship in BTech, It is enough to help you to start with your PhD, provided that you have certain traits. And those traits are: 1. You are hardworking. You see, you may not be a genius, but you may not be having a high flying IQ, but your hard work can always beat a talent. Second, you need to have tons of patience. Sorry for the spelling. These two particular things are essential for any PhD. You need to have patience, you need to be hardworking. If you have both of them, then yes, you are eligible for PhD. If you have some exposure, always say, if you look into my previous videos, I always say having a pre-exposure to research before PhD is essential in order to understand whether research is something which will suit you or not. Coming to the second myth, that PhD is only for academics. It's one of the biggest myths that you will hear about PhD. There are various rewarding options after a PhD. And it is not just that you need to settle with academics, and those I'll be just detailing here now. First is about postdoctoral fellowship. It's a job where you go abroad or India and you join a lab, and the professor assigns you some students, some PhD students or some masters or bachelor students, and under your guidance they pursue research and you are paid heftily. Like in India, it starts with something like 70,000 to 90,000, depending on your experience that you have, previous research experience that you have. Okay. And abroad, it's like something around $3,000 a month is something that you get for postdoctoral fellowship. Second thing that you can do is that straight away after PhD, you can join academics. Okay. The third thing that you can do is that you can join some government lab. Okay. Like you can join DRDO. Some of the students from IIT Bombay, after completing their PhD, they join DRDO as a scientist. Fourth, you can join some private lab. Even RRCAT, Indore. Private lab like St. Gobain's. I've seen students joining here after their PhD. So it's not just one needs to settle in academics. Yes, academic is a bulk employer. I won't deny it. But yes, and interestingly, other things. Students apply for jobs. You can get into analytics jobs. And fourth, you can join some startups. Like suppose that some of you may find out a way of growing graphene sheets or graphene layers, sorry. Then you can start up a company or you can join a company. So there are so many things that one can do after PhD. It's not just about academics. Coming to the third myth that you will always hear is that PhD takes too long. It's also a myth. It's not completely wrong, but it is mostly wrong. You need to understand that PhDs are of two types. One is structured PhD, one is unstructured PhD. In structured PhD, you have a objective which is defined. Okay, you need to find a solution to this objective. Got my point? It's mostly in Japan or in Europe you'll find such type of PhDs where everything is defined. You just go and start your work. In India, USA, you will mostly find unstructured sort of a PhD where students take generally 4 to 5 years to complete the PhD. Okay, there are associated negatives and positives with both the structured and unstructured PhD. In structured PhD, though everything is defined, but in case suppose you want to add something to your objective, it's not always possible. You can't drastically change your objective in case of a structured PhD because everything is already defined. But in unstructured PhD, you can just look into some literature. You can find out what all things are appealing to you. You can make a plan for it. You can go to your guide and you can discuss with him or her. And then if plan clicks, then you start working on a particular aspect of the study. Okay. So it gives you, unstructured gives you room, but it takes more time. Structured doesn't give you much room, but it takes less time. So both have their pros and cons. Yes, in some cases you will find some students pursuing their PhD for 7 years or 8 years. 8 years is the limit, you cannot cross 8 years. Okay, it happens in some cases because there is some issue, like the machine, if suppose a machine comes late, or there is no coordination between the faculty and the student. Okay, or there is some issue because of which it takes so long. If things are planned well, if resources are there for you in time, then definitely PhD doesn't take long. Okay, at least not for 7 to 8 years. There are only few cases. Now coming to the next myth, that is PhD is lonely, depressing and unrewarding. I don't think so. But there is some probability of being lonely. There are some times you may find it depressing, but it's never so that is unrewarding. You will always get the fruits of your hard work if you have done efficient planning and you have put in efforts in a planned direction. Definitely you'll be getting the rewards. Now coming to each point, how is it lonely? You see, if you all have ever heard of something called Ironman triathlon, okay, it is very tiring. It requires a person to swim for 2.4 miles and then bicycle for 112 miles and then run for 26.22 miles. It's a lonely process. Okay, because you will almost never find someone who will accompany you when you go for practice of these things. Similar is the case of a PhD. It's not that you will be lonely, you will be along with your faculties and with your fellow researchers. You need to constantly discuss and present your ideas. If you don't do these things, then definitely it is a lonely process. That is why I said that this may be to a little extent true, but it is only true if you don't interact with your fellow PhD mates, you don't interact with your faculties, you don't go outside to the industries, you don't go outside to schools, to colleges and interact with students. If you don't do these things, then definitely it's lonely. Coming to the next point, is it depressing? You see, definitely I would not like to use the word depression very lightly, because we need to be very cautious when we use such scientific term. But I would say that at times you may feel that you have nowhere to go. But again, if you constantly discuss, interact, okay, and just not get limited to the lab, you go out of the lab, you go for sports, you go for arts, if you lead a all-round complete life during your PhD and just not limit yourself to your computer, to your room, I don't think that you will ever go into these two situations. Got my point? Oh, it's a bit cluttered now. Coming to the fifth myth that you have, and that is PhD leads to a world changing discovery. You see, it's not always so. Okay, suppose this is the direction, and till here, Z. Okay, we have a complete understanding of how the things work. In your PhD, you are just expected to add a small del Z. Okay, a very small del G in this understanding. Got my point? And that is your contribution. It may not always so be that you will go for a world changing discovery, because again, a world changing discovery requires a complete mechanism. Got my point? Which can help you out. It's not that you cannot do this in India, but yes, you require a lot of planning in order to achieve these things. Got my point? So even though this del G is small, it doesn't matter, because you are providing an addition to the already existing understanding. That is your contribution. Now coming to what are the issues with the PhD. You see, after your PhD, no failure is a failure to you, because suppose for example you are working on some experiment, you wanted to increase the mechanical property, but in the meantime you found out that the way you designed your experiment, it actually led to reduction in the mechanical property. Is it a failure? No, it is not a failure. This is definitely a success. It is also a success in terms that when you publish this as an article, globally there are people who will read this article, okay, and they won't do these same thing that you did. You are actually helping them prevent wasting their time, energy, and money by giving them the idea that, well, Mr. X, if you do this sort of experiment, then definitely you are going to get a reduction property, and they won't do it. That is your contribution to your society. Got my point? And then, especially in the Indian companies, they really find it very difficult to fit you into the hierarchy. Where should you place the PhD? Okay, so basically in Indian companies, what they do, like Tata Steel or Jindal, what they specifically do is that they recruit MTechs and then they like send them for PhD on any topic that is linked to their plant. So with this, I think I have covered some of the myths associated with PhD. There are many more. I would suggest that in case you know some of them, then do write in the comments below. I'll pin them for others to read. Thank you.